I mean, while you're working with the FIA, you helped Max Verstappen get his super license at the age of 17, which just kind of was unheard of.
The guy is even more extraordinary out of the car than he is in the car. You know, it looks stupid to say, but that's what it is. You know, you call him on Monday after a race and say, so how are you? You are resting somewhere? You came back okay? Say, yeah, well, no, I'm racing right now, but you know, there is nothing as crazy as that in recent Formula One history.
If you could change one thing about modern Formula One to make it even better, what would it be?
Controversial. My friends at the FIA are going to hate me.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Talking Ball podcast, powered by AvaTrade, of course, as ever. And I am joined by my esteemed co-host, Nicola Hume. Talk to me, Nicola. Esteemed.
I like it.
Yeah, it's professional, you know.
Yeah.
Not too serious, not too playful.
I'm very excited about today because we have one of the guests that we've been talking about for so long going, I can't wait to have him on because I've heard nothing but good things. And now all of a sudden he's sat here in front of us. Laurent Mekies, thank you so much for joining us on Talking Ball. How are you?
Thanks to you guys, you are going to be very disappointing after all this introduction.
I refuse to be disappointed. Lauren, I've been so excited for this one because it's so interesting, the dynamic, and I really want to get into the details of this today. You know, you're new to the team, but kind of not. You know, your history, your connection to Red Bull in both Toro Rosso guys, in Racing Bulls guys, and of course Oracle Red Bull Racing guys. How did it feel? Because we know it kind of came as a bit of a surprise. It was big news. You taking this role as team principal and CEO of Oracle Red Bull Racing. When you first got that call, found out that information, like talk us through those emotions.
Actually, you know what? It was in any bad movie. I had gone to Silverstone just for 3 days for the race weekend. And obviously, I was not expecting anything of that sort. And on Monday, I was still in London for other reasons. And I got the call from Oliver and Helmut. And you probably won't believe me, but the line was horrible. And it was very, very difficult to understand what they were saying. I was like, what are you talking about? Like, no, just call me back on WhatsApp, sort of thing, you know.
We've all been there.
So then they called back. I eventually understood what they meant, and I told them, look, can I think about it for a few hours? And so you hang up the phone, you try to digest what you just heard, and you know, very quickly, you know, you just realize, wow, it's Red Bull calling you for that amazing job to join this incredible team, and you know, very quickly you realize that it's a huge honor and privilege to receive that call, and eventually you call them back.
Did you, in that time, did you speak to anyone? Did you just kind of sit in your own mind and just ponder that yourself?
I tell you what, I actually called my wife.
Nice.
To say, look, that's what's happening. You know, what do you think, sort of things. And
she said,
after 2 or 3 minutes, she said, like, she let me talk, and then she said, do we actually have the choice? And I was like, the choice? Did they mention a choice? And I think she was probably right. So but anyway, it was you know, we agreed it was an honor and a privilege. So it was an easy one.
And actually, I wanna mention is it Asia Tech where it all began, right? Can you kind of give a bit of context as to where this F1 journey started for you, and also your history, particularly with Toro Rosso?
Depends how much time you have.
Lots of time.
More than enough time for you.
We're here all night.
I give you a small story. So I after engineering university, I did an internship in Formula 3. That's how I started, which was fantastic. It was already living the dream, honestly, because you know, your first job outside of the university, it's just like incredible to work on these race cars, let alone Formula One. And then what happened was there was an advertisement in one of the French motor racing newspaper about Peugeot Formula One having just turned Agitech. They had sold the business to this Japanese holding, but it was effectively Peugeot Formula One in the same headquarters, same everything, same people. And they were looking for an engine race engineers for Formula One. So what do? You know, you do like like you have been dreaming of. You just send your CV, and a few days after you have an interviews, another interviews, and then 3 weeks after you are in Melbourne and the season is starting. So that was really like, you know, the jump into the blue, and yeah, it's that's how it all started.
So then from there, everything all just kind of grew and you ended up, I guess, being poached. It was one of those like, do you want to come and work with us? Do you want to come and work with us? Rather than applying for things to move up. It was like people saw the talent and the skill and the hard work in you.
Take the compliment.
Take the compliment. It's there. I'm handing it to you. Receive it.
It is too much silver plate. No. Look, no, not at all. Actually, it's not like that. It's so I spent these 2 years in Asia Tech. Year one, 2001, we were supplying the engines to Arrows. You may remember the Arrows at the time. Certain driver was Jos Verstappen in that
Full
team.
circle.
In that team, full circle indeed. The year after, Asia Tech provided the engines to Minardi, and then that's it. Year two, to your point, year two, the dream finishes.
Yeah.
Because the company closed. That was it. You know, they did 2 years in Formula One, closed down. Goodbye, everybody. You are on the job market. And then Minardi, with whom I had started to work for because we were providing the engines to these guys, they just told me at the end of that year, you know what? If you look for a job, come to work for us. And you know, I was an engine guy at the time. I would say, yeah, it's okay. We'll find you a job to do. We don't know yet what it's going to be, but we'll find you a job to do.
So I was right. So
No.
She was right.
So people saw your talent and they went, let's get him to come and work with us.
No, it's not like that. I tell you what, Minardi at the time was 85 people.
Wow,
now you know
really?
how many people we are now in
85?
Oracle Red Bull Racing's 85 people.
Oh,
And you
okay.
know, there was no customer team story. Like you were designing and doing everything in the car. You couldn't buy any components from anyone, blah, blah, blah. So that was a good, very good school.
Yeah.
That's
I mean,
so impressive.
also mentioning Verstappen's, I mean, while you're working with the FIA, you helped Max Verstappen get his super license at the age of 17, which just kind of was unheard of. How on earth did you do that? How did that work?
Well, don't tell him, but it's actually the other way around. I reached the FIA just as Max got his super license, as you said, at 17.
Oh.
And the very first thing, Jean Todt, the president of the FIA at the time, asked me to do, he said, well, you know what? This young kid, Max, he just got his license at 17 years old. That's ridiculous. You know, people will not understand, you know, why you cannot have a driving license for the straight and you can drive a Formula One car. So please look at it with your team, make a new structure for how you get a super license because this cannot happen again. So thanks to Max being that outstanding, we now have a completely new super license point system, which didn't exist at the time,
Right.
including the minimum age.
Right. So, and Max doesn't know this.
It's better he doesn't know that I was trying to stop him just a bit.
Okay, I'm just like, if we speak to him soon, I might bring it up.
She will definitely bring it up. Because it was Kimi Räikkönen, I remember the next driver before Max who had run into some issues because he came in so young and so early. But obviously you've worked with so many young drivers. We had Sebastian Buemi, we spoke to most
Yeah.
recently on the podcast.
Like him very much.
And great lads. And like you've got so many youngsters coming through. I guess, how do you identify a driver with... There's so much going on a human level when you're growing up, when you're 16, 17, 18, let alone being put in a Formula One car. You've worked with all of these young drivers coming through. Like, what do you think is the most important skill you're looking for at a kid who's 16, 17, 18 at that point in their driving career when they've only really done karts and kind of junior single seats to that point?
You know, the first thing is always the same. It's speed. That's what the business is about. So what is their speed now? Because that's the only one you can measure. Yeah. So it's what is their speed, whatever the age they have, what is their category they are racing in, how fast are they? That's the name of the game. And then what we try to assess is the potential. That's the difficult part of the business. How much are they going to develop? So with years, with all of these drivers that you mentioned, what you see with all these champions is that they get faster. That's the crazy part about it. People think that that you get older and you are more mature and you have better technical understanding, better technical feedback, better interaction with the people. Yes, you do all that with experience. But the great guys, they also get faster. And you see them making these steps, and it could be every 3 or 4 races. It could be every half a season. It could be only once in a year. But the big champions are the guys that you see every 4 or 5 races. You look at them and say, he was not doing that before. And then fast forward another 4 or 5 races, you say, well, that's another step. And that's really when you see drivers progressing quickly like that you say, oh, it will take them very, very high up.
Yeah, because I think it's such a difficult. You look at Gabriel Bortoleto and Isaac Hadjar, 2 drivers I think are doing fantastic jobs in their respective rookie seasons this year. And they, you go back to I was looking like 7 years ago, they were both in the same series of karting. And Gabriel was winning and podiums every weekend and Isaac was struggling a lot more. At the time, you would have thought, oh, Gabby's the standout. And you look at them both right now and they run each other right to the F2 title last year. Gabby wins in the end. And it must be so difficult to identify these drivers, not only the ones who have absolutely hit the ground running and absolutely smashing it in these junior categories, but also these, drivers who haven't maybe quite flourished yet, but that can be for so many reasons and actually could have the potential to become the next best thing, right?
You are completely right. That's the difficulties between pure speed and maturity. In the performance that you see for drivers, how much is maturity, early maturity, and how much is core talent, core speed. So the example you take is exactly the type of difficulty you have to read through the result and the potential of a driver. And in that case, credit to Helmut. I think nobody was understanding Isaac's potentials more than he did, as you said, in the high and the low of his career, to eventually fight for the title of F2 until the last race and to eventually do these incredible first seasons. And that's really the difference between just taking a pictures of the speed of the kid or being able to project it into what it's going to be.
Now, as this is the first time we've had you on the Talking Ball podcast, I think it's only fair that we fire some quick fire questions at you so that we can get to know you as our new team principal. So, first up, do you have a nickname?
Not that I know of, but I'm sure you guys have a few for me.
I don't think we've come up with anything, have we?
Not yet. We'll work on that.
Give it time.
I'm sure you will, no doubt.
Once we've had a few more podcasts with you, Laurent, we'll definitely get that settled. Laurent, if you could work with any driver in F1 history, maybe of the past, who would you work with?
Probably, Ayrton Senna, having been, growing with all these images on TV when I was a kid of his achievements. And obviously it was a Senna-Prost era, being French, we followed Alain a lot.
Yeah.
and I was so lucky later on to be able to meet him and not really work together, but certainly meet him and being in the paddock together. But that was not the case with Ayrton, so Ayrton would probably be the one.
Are you an early bird or a night owl?
Definitely early bird.
Oh, nice. What time in the morning did you get up then?
Not to be disclosed.
Fair. What's your favourite memory in your history of Formula One?
We only remember the wins. That's what we are living for, know. So I guess some of the most important wins so far. The first one, you never forget the first one. The first one was with Seb Vettel in Monza.
Huge.
2008, huge. His first win. Our first win for the Red Bull Group in Formula One at the time.
Maybe it's a Monza thing. I don't know.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Probably. We like Monza.
Yeah.
We did. Wet race or dry race?
I would say wet race. There is so many more stress points and decision points.
Just love the stress.
No, but you certainly like the critical points. That's what we are getting up in the morning.
Favorite Formula One car of all time?
It's a tough one. You're going to get me in trouble.
Yeah.
You're going to get me in trouble. I would have loved to say the 2023 Red Bull Racing because it was a crazy good car, but there was a competitor at the time. I didn't find it funny.
Now you can say it's great, so it's fine.
But it was a great car, I have to say.
How many languages can you speak?
Many people say 0.
You're doing a good job so far with just English, so that's fine. That's definitely 2, French and English.
Many people say 0, I can tell you, or 0 properly, but 3 poorly. So English, French, and Italian.
Oh, very nice.
Interesting. Favorite sport outside of Formula One?
So again, back to the Italian years, there is this fantastic sport that we play on the beaches in Italy. And you know, we it's called racchettone, that it will be a beach tennis. So it's a sort of paddle or a beach, you know the beach volley. You take a beach volley field, beach volley net, sort of, you know, high net.
Yeah.
And you play with some sort of paddle rackets on the sand. So it's very cool. It's
That
very
sounds
cool.
nice.
Yeah, you should try it. It's very cool.
Your favorite race?
I'm not going to tell you Monza again, or like, no.
You can say Monza if you want to. It's fine.
No, but look, it's the wins again. You know, that's what comes. When you ask the questions, what am I thinking? I'm thinking of the wins. You know, and again, just okay. Monza was great. You know, Bahrain in 2022 was a very important race for, you know, at the time. Again, it was for a competitor, but it was the first race of a new cycle of regulations.
Sure.
And as you can see now, with the build up to 2026, you know.
Yeah.
You have for 1 year, for 2 years, for 3 years, you think about who is going to nail these regulations, who is going to hit the ground running, and to get to the first race and to win that first race was something special.
Your favorite track not currently on the F1 calendar? Oh, it's a tough one, this one.
That's a tough one. Not on the F1 calendar. If I don't give you a French track, I'm going to be...
You can give us a French, yeah, go for it.
We were in Magny-Cours
We were in Magny-Cours recently.
I tell you what, I never went there for racings, but everybody said that Estoril was fantastic at the time. Everybody say that Adelaide in Australia before Melbourne was also very, very special atmosphere. So I guess one of these two.
Iconic. Dream driver lineup from history. I have a feeling one of them is going to be Ayrton.
Yeah, you got that one.
Who would you partner with Senna?
I tell you what, Michael. Michael again. Besides the obvious and what has been achieved on the track, you know, having been for you know many years at Ferrari just after Michael's time, and you can measure how deep the imprinting from his years was, not only for the sport but also for the Scuderia, and hence you know that certainly will be one to put there.
Having been in the paddock for many years, what is the weirdest superstition or ritual that you've ever seen?
There is one simple ritual, is that I guess with the stress level, everybody suffers the same impatience to run to the bathroom just after the race is over. So when the race is over, it's like a big queue in front of the bathrooms. Everybody is there. We know why we are there, and that's what it is. So
it's the same after the podcast.
Your stomach's been going for a while.
Exactly.
Yeah, and then you need a little tactical wee, and then you can relax.
Nothing wrong with that. And then final quickfire question.
If you want to pause now, you feel free.
I reckon I could do 10 more minutes. If you weren't in motorsport, what career do you think you would have ended up in if not motorsport? What career path do you think you could have gone down?
You know what? It's tough because I really feel like I actually never worked, you know, because you are just passionate by the sport. It's the only thing you have been doing. So I sometimes feel like sooner or later I will need to work. I will need to start working. So I guess it will be back to engineering, certainly, because that's where my training is at, and if it's not for the cars, maybe for the planes.
Oh, nice. This is actually a question from Tomo, but I'm going to ask on his behalf,
ask,
right?
Yeah.
So we've seen James Vowles, Zach Brown, Jonathan Wheatley, many of your counterparts have always indulged in a bit of racing themselves. Have you ever considered
I was
Been
far
tempted?
too slow to dream about it.
What have you tried?
Lawnmower racing, maybe?
No, zero. I tell you what, you obviously you go karting like many of us. You just go karting, and then you feel you understand the kart dynamic because of your interest, because of your studies. So you feel you understand the vehicle dynamics, the tires, what to do, the balance, with everything. And then you go on a go-kart, and then you see whatever other kids lapping 2 seconds faster than you, and you say, okay.
It's very humbling when that happens.
It means that I'm missing something else here.
It's very humbling very quickly when that happens. Yeah, because I guess it's, you imagine that in this industry, there's so many different people that can come from so many different backgrounds, whether they're, there was, I know Enrico Cardile, your former colleague at Ferrari, he was in Ferrari Automotive and then decided to come to the racing side. Was it always racing for you, or was it engineering, I guess, first?
As a passion, always racing. As a passion, always racing.
To be like, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. This is what I want to be my career.
The truth is, it's so far that you don't even dream about it. I was not even dreaming about being at races, because it feels just so far until the very moment where you actually get that internship. It feels like it will never happen. And I've done like many of the girls and the guys. You write to every single F1 teams when you are 16 and nobody answers to you. Then you do it again when you are 17 and nobody answers to you. And so it feels completely impossible. So in terms of passion, you never think about. You just look at it as a beautiful sport, and you want to be a big fan of it. In terms of working, you imagine that you will be working in engineering in any other, I guess, automotive manufacturers or plane manufacturers or whatever.
So we'd like to welcome Dáire Ferguson, who is the CEO of AvaTrade, onto the podcast. And first of all, Dáire, I want to say a massive thank you on behalf of Tomo and I for supporting the podcast. It's been a joy having you guys be the partners for this season. So thank you very much.
No, you're absolutely welcome. Look, it's been fantastic. We've been delighted to come on board the Red Bull team in the last year, and thank you back to you guys for having us as your kind of podcast sponsor.
We want to say, sometimes F1 is a sport that can be seen as quite an exclusive, and I think when Red Bull Racing joins the grids back in 2006, it was what parallels do you see in AvaTrade, making trading a much more kind of open and inclusive space to be in, to operate in, just like Red Bull Racing came into F1 and did the same?
Yeah, well, interesting. 2006, it's when Ava was founded as well. So the parallels are quite good in that regard. I was with Ava from the very start, and 20 years ago, 25 years ago, trading was very much an exclusive thing. It was something that high-end professional investors, you did it with a hedge fund, you did it with banks. It was very inaccessible to Joe Public, to retail personnel. And online trading kind of came into fore back around then, and regulation started to come into effect, and there was no regulation in these type of markets. And when AvaTrade got set up, we immediately looked to go into get regulated and to set up regulated companies in order to facilitate online trading, not to the general public, and make it much more accessible. And 20 years later, I kind of look by, and we have offices in 20 different countries. We offer our services in 20 plus languages. I think we have clients from almost 180, almost every country in the world. So the development of the industry has very much come in parallel with this type of nothing is exclusive anymore. And I think the way the world has moved, everything is accessible to everybody 24/7, and that's the good and the bad, I think depends on how you look at it. But I think for us, we certainly think this has been an evolution that has been fantastic. We're constantly looking to enter into new markets. We're constantly looking to diversify. We want to make trading as easy as possible for anybody who comes to join AvaTrade, and even from how we allow clients to register. It's a very simple process. You come to our website, you go through the regular questionnaire, you upload your documents. The whole thing can take 5 minutes. and then suddenly you're connected to Chicago Mercantile Exchange or the New York Stock Exchange, or you get access to the FTSE in the UK, at the click of a button. So I certainly think that as the market has evolved, as the industry has evolved, and very much like F1 has become open to everybody, this is only a positive thing, and it's only been the way that services everybody much better.
I mean, I'm enjoying finding the parallels here, because sometimes you find certain things, you're like, how on earth can we connect the two? But actually it does make sense, because when you think of Formula One, I mean, performance comes down to sort of fine margins, from the drivers to the engineers. It all comes down to the very split second things that you're doing. So then when it comes down to you guys, trading can be kind of similar in that sort of precision, the timing, the discipline. It can make all the difference, can't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Like fine margin. I think it's a perfect parallel. It's the perfect comparison. F1 is milliseconds and even fractions of milliseconds. Trading is the exact same thing. We deal in milliseconds of execution. We also deal in milli pips. So pips are like the small decimal points. At the end of a trade, it's like crude oil is X number with 0.0001, and the difference between those milliseconds are exactly the same parallel how they make the difference in Formula One. So the guys lining up on the grid line and the top three are split by 0.004 of a second. We have the exact same comparison in our industry, where you can buy a trade or sell a trade in the milliseconds or the milli pips of an execution on a price trade, and that can be the difference between a profitable trade or a losing trade. That can be the same between on pole or being second or 20th, and we can see sometimes those it's so narrow that the difference, you have to be providing the best service. So we as a broker, we need to make sure that the systems that we offer to our clients are absolutely at the highest precision. They have to be the most quick. They have to be transparent, and we have to be able to provide speed and execution to our clients, because if we don't, that's going to impact them at the bottom line. And ultimately, we want our traders to be successful. We want them to be happy traders. And if we can give them systems and execution that's going to make their experience better with AvaTrade, that's what we're trying to achieve at the end of the day.
And Dáire, obviously, cutting edge technology is what keeps Oracle Red Bull Racing competitive at the front of the field, what keeps AvaTrade competitive amongst your competitors as well. But how has technology changed over the course of those kind of last 15, 20 years in your industry? We've seen it in Formula One. It's changed massively in the last 15, 20 years. But what about for AvaTrade in your niche?
Yeah, I think probably the first thing I would say is one of the biggest changes has been regulation, and regulation, and I know obviously that's paramount in the Formula One industry as well. But regulation has come paramount with our industry. We are regulated by, I think, 13 or 14 different regulators across the globe. So from Asia to Latin America, Europe, and Ireland, where our head office is based, and that has also helped to shape how the industry works, because regulation can be very restrictive, as you know, but what it also does is give clients comfort. It gives them trust, and then that feeds into how you provide your technology, because your technology is also held to the highest levels of excellence determined by the regulators. Because if your systems and technology are not quickly enough or not fast enough, they don't execute trades the way they're supposed to, that will impact a client at the end of the day, and then clients aren't going to be happy. So the regulation has certainly shifted it. And then on top of that, you need to build technology and systems which are good. So we have multiple platforms. We have mobile apps. We offer numerous different types of products. We offer like stuff from beginner clients who have never traded before. So we make it very, very easy for them, where they can do stuff like copy trading, where they go in, they can see a whole range of different type of investors, people who are trading, and they say, okay, I like that, I want to follow this, and I can see somebody's experience, see what they're trading before. And if it aligns with what they're planning to do, what they'd like to do, they can simply click of a button, follow somebody, and monitor their profitability as it goes along. And I think that's the type of technological advances, the system advances that, again, have opened out trading to the masses in a much more easy way. A nice comparison that I like to use, and especially when I'm talking about Formula One, we built a tool called AvaSelect. And it's essentially you initiate a trade. You want to buy or sell an instrument. You then you put in what we call like an option to protect it. So if your trade is successful, then you make profit. If your trade is losing and it starts going against you, the option will kick in, and then it will essentially reset your trade back to zero. So I was thinking about this earlier on. I kind of consider it like a free pit stop in Formula One. So you can think about the guys going around, and suddenly there's something wrong. I have something wrong in my wheel. Something's burst. If I had a button to click, if Max had a button to click and get a free pit stop, change the tires back out again without impacting in the race, would not be an amazing tool to be able to give someone? So that's exactly the type of thing we've given our clients, this type of tool where they can enhance their trading ability, and they can do it seamlessly from their phone. So it's a type of thing that you have to innovate on a continual basis.
So what we've learnt today is that AvaTrade and Red Bull are both equally as pressured and equally as stressful as each other. That's what I think we've learnt today.
Yes, it's not an easy day.
No.
It's a challenging day. It's a rewarding day in the office.
It's all down to the fine margins.
Thank you so much, guys. It's been a pleasure.
I mean, now you're sat here as team principal of Oracle Red Bull Racing. So let's talk about your future plans. You're taking over, you're running a big team, championship winning team. This is quite a big deal. Do you have any specific plans? How are you looking ahead to 2026? How are you coping with the stress of the regulation changes?
Well, at first, as we said earlier, it's a huge privilege. What you find there is that you find an unbelievable group of talents. You walk into the factory here, you walk into any departments, you see the pure racing. That's what this team is about. Every single person, whatever her job or his job is, they are going to push it to the absolute limit. They are going to push it to the absolute limit because that's the way this team is going racing, by taking a risk. So that's what you breathe. That's the feeling you get when you walk around here. So really, all we are trying to do is to make sure that this incredible group of talents, that you just look and you just try to make sure that they have what they need to express their talent at best. That's the only thing we are doing. And the same comes when you talk about the regulations change coming. All the experts are there. We only are here to make sure we build around them the right working environment and the right atmosphere.
And of course, the engine project, brand new for Oracle Red Bull Racing. You've obviously had experience with Ferrari as a non-customer team, as a customer team as well. I guess my question is, when you're looking at the numbers that are coming out of the engine that's probably in the dyno right now, and you're working on it for 2026, how do you measure? Because you don't know what Honda and Mercedes and all the other teams, you don't know what their numbers they're getting. How do you know that your numbers are good enough? Because we're walking into an unknown, but how do you set goals and expectations when you don't know what a good outcome is right now?
We never know what a good outcome is. And it's not specific to the new regulation. It is not specific to power unit. Like if you see, it's the same for chassis and power unit. You are only as good as the difference between you and the competition.
It's all relative, right?
So it's all relative. So the very same question we could ask ourselves in terms of engine power. You could ask the exact same question in terms of chassis downforce for next year. So the reality is that you push. You have your team pushing as hard as possible until the very last second you think they can push for performance before you need to convert that performance into real parts. And that's the same in the chassis world. You will push in your wind tunnel, you will push in your vehicle dynamic simulations up until the last point where you need now to start designing the part and produce it and get it to the racetrack. And the same on the power unit side. You will push on the performance until the very last second where you need to say, "Oh, guys, we now need to freeze this part," because you then need to to build the engines, to ensure reliability, to ensure drivability, and eventually to build enough to go racing. So, of course, you can always set yourself an imaginary target that makes you feel good. But fundamentally, what's important is that your team is in the conditions to push until the very, very last second that you can afford to push.
I mean, speaking of the engines, have you heard the 2026 engine yet? Have you listened to it?
Of course, we've heard. Yeah,
and what was your face doing while you were listening?
Look. At first, symbolically, it's huge because there is no craziest challenge than Oracle Red Bull Racing's with Ford decided to do his own engine. There is nothing as crazy as that in recent Formula One history. Mm-hmm. It's a typical Red Bull crazy stuff to do.
It's what they do.
And so just hearing that sound is already crazy, let alone whether it's going to be fast or not. So yes, the sound is on. It's been on the dyno for a while now, and we are only a few months to go. So we are actually in the peak stress moment to make sure we can actually make one and get one to the racetrack.
Yeah, I mean, this is just a whole new challenge. I mean, you see it here at the campus, the new Red Bull 4 powertrains part. It's such a big undertaking, and you're walking into this new regulation cycle. Oracle Red Bull Racing have won a Grand Prix every single year since Seb won his title in 2010. Only 2015 didn't win a race. Other than that, the team's been consistently able to get to that top step of the podium. How do you? All these other teams, Aston Martin have got their big new facility. Everyone's operating at the cost cap. There's not those teams that are miles off the back anymore. It feels like right now. I mean, Ollie Behrman in a Haas finished P4 last weekend in Mexico, and it's how do you make sure that, or you can never make sure anything right in this game, but maximize your chances of continuing that legacy of Red Bull always finding their way to the very top when it's so much more, I think, competitive amongst your fellow teams. Cadillac as well next year.
Oh yeah.
So you're right in saying that it's a battle between giants, because that's what it is. And sometimes we forget about it, but yes, that's a battle between giants. 7, 8, 9 car manufacturers next year. There is no small teams anymore. It's just insane. The level of competition is just insane. But fundamentally, we are a people business, and you get the best people, and you try to put them in the best condition to work. And and we have incredible leaders. We have Pierre on the chassis side, we have Ben on the power unit side. They have built incredible team underneath them in their respective structures. We have a fantastic set of support functions around them to make this team as much as a winning machine as possible. And of course, we absolutely do not underestimate the scale of the challenge. That's why we call it the most crazy decision one can take to do your own power unit. Not by buying another manufacturers, but just by doing it on the field here next door in the Milton Keynes campus. So we completely appreciate the scale of the challenge of going against people that have been doing it for 90 years. So it's going to take a bit of time, but it's the Red Bull way. It's getting the best people, doing it with the Red Bull energy, and doing it at the absolute limit, at the absolute maximum risk taking, and it will take us the time it will take us, but there is an unbelievable spirit, fighting spirit, racing spirit, pure spirit around here, and that's down to our people and to what Red Bull symbolize.
I think since I started hosting this podcast back in 2023, what I notice is every time I come here is it feels like a really lovely family unit. Even though it's huge, it all feels really tight and connected, and everyone just kind of knows everyone, and it feels like a warm family kind of area. But what do you think is the team's greatest strength?
The main thing, really, especially when you walk from outside, is pure racing, like absolute fighting spirit, racing spirit from everyone. Doesn't matter which position they are on. They are just, you can talk to anybody at the coffee machine. They live the challenge. They know exactly what happened at last race. They know exactly what is at stake next year. So pure racing, very, very high risk taking. That's the way this team goes racing, and that's also what gives you that smile on your face when you come here. And everybody wants to take risks, but nobody accepts to fall. This place understands that when you take risks, sometimes you need to fall and it hurts. But you get back on your feet, you help each other, and you push as hard, if not harder, the next time around.
What I'm enjoying, brace yourself, because there's a compliment coming. What I'm enjoying is, since you've been part of the team, you're bringing a very calm energy to the team in a really nice way. And you're still kind of acknowledging your former drivers from Racing Bulls and just kind of still feeling like you're part of this big unit. And it's like you just have a vibe about you that just feels calm and lovely. And I think everyone's enjoying that. That's your compliment. Take it, receive it, enjoy it.
You're not expecting me to comment, no? No, you're far too kind. You're far too nice. I think what you are describing is a Red Bull family spirit.
Yeah.
That's what it is. And yes, it goes across both teams. And yes, it's deep into the roots of this place, and it takes us tight together. And there is no other team than this place that have won more in the last 20 years. So there is a reason why these girls and these guys have been winning that much, and that's down to how hard they are pushing, how on the edge they are, and I'm sure they went through a lot of highs and lows, and it has bonded everyone together. And it's, I can only be thankful and grateful to how open and how helpful they have been in welcoming the me coming around in a difficult moment for them, in a difficult season. And as we have said several times, the truth is, nobody here had ever given up on the current season. They were not happy with the performance of the car. They were not happy with how the project was limited in its performance on track. And they had never given up in keeping exploring, keeping developing, keep exploring, don't give up. And finally, steps after steps, taking more risks, they have started to unlock some performance. It gives you more confidence, you unlock a bit more, and credit to their incredible talents in an incredibly short amount of time, putting the car back into contentions for the wins. That's
exactly.
That's a representation of the talents around here.
I mean, as we're recording this is now a couple of weeks before the Brazilian Grand Prix. Max is very much now in contention for the championship. It's absolutely, I think, in my humble opinion, possible that he can do it. Whereas maybe, 6 races ago, we probably wouldn't have been saying this. There's been a really good turnaround.
After Hungary, it didn't feel on at all.
Yeah.
Like, not even the slightest. And Max said it himself, it wasn't. And then, but that's F1 sometimes, right? The momentum shift.
It's exciting.
It's been like those, obviously there's changes to the car have been brought since Hungary. Intermittent changes, obviously just working on what already is in place. Was that a conscious decision? Was that something that had already been kind of set in place beforehand? And I guess, how does that affect, because that is resource ultimately that's going into 2025 that isn't necessarily going into 2026. So how did that decision come about, I guess?
There was a sense of not giving up for the sake of not giving up, meaning, we are going to get things sorted, and that's what this team is so strong at. Then there was a sense of, if you are unhappy about where this car had gone performance-wise, it would be quite uncomfortable to simply say, well, let's turn the page. You go to the next car, new set of regulation. Let's hope it's going to be all right. You will not do that. And I think what this team has been incredible at is to keep pushing on this car. Not only give you, the performance we're having now, but it also gives you the confidence that you have understood what was limiting the project. you have understood how to unlock more performance. And of course, the next set of regulations is completely different. But you have the same people, you have the same tools, you have the same methodology,
processes,
and you have the same process, and it gives you confidence that you can trust them, because fundamentally you got to the bottom of this your car and you brought it to the right level of performance, and that gives you a higher confidence going into next year, even if it may have cost you some time compared to competition.
Well, I mean, this is what I wanted to bring up, because now we're in a championship battle. There's so much focus that needs to be on this year, but at the same time, you need to focus on next year. And you know that other teams that aren't fighting for a championship are focusing on next year's car. So does that mean we're in an extremely busy time and the rest of the team are working all the hours under the sun on 2 cars? How do you cope with that and kind of keeping everyone calm and chilled and dealing with a stressful situation?
You know, it's very much a spirit in this team, you know. If you look back, you know, if you discuss with Pierre, you know, the technical director, he will tell you, you know, you just never give up on a car, you know, that's what you do. And yes, most of the people in his team are split between the 2 projects. But I think they are simply doubling up. That's what they do, you know. So they double up the work, double up the intensity, and that's the magic. One of the magic about this place.
So it's just paying a lot of overtime. That's what
well,
it is.
there you go. Yeah, happy days. And look, I think as well, you know, you look at what would be the ideal traits on paper for a top team principal, top CEO. Historically, a lot of kind of business people, marketing people, and the meta has definitely moved now to engineers, not just yourself, James Vowles, Alan Permain, Jonathan Wheatley, the list goes on, Ayo Komatsu, of engineers who have taken this role. And this seems like a very recent phenomenon. Do you think your management approach is something you've worked on consciously, or do you just think that actually right now, what F1 teams need are engineers at the top? Because I think you look at every instance of an engineer taking this team principal role, they've all moved their teams forward, I think, respectively.
It's a difficult one. You know, I think what is fair to say is that the complexity of the sport has increased dramatically in the past few years. You know, teams getting bigger, complexity of the cars going up always. So in fairness, yes, you discuss about complex topics all day long with your teams. On the other side, you are not the experts. You know, as much as I would like to, I'm not making any technical decisions. The guys are far better on that than
Do you sometimes want to, though?
any of their bosses.
You're like, I just want to...
You wanna get in and tinker, don't you? Yeah.
The engineering.
You have these old engineers rules, you know, don't touch the car. You are not allowed to touch the car. You know, if you walk into the garage, you can see the guys giving you a look like, don't touch the car.
Yeah. You're like, I understand. I get
No
it.
touchy.
We had a load of questions come in through the paddock, by the way, from our listeners. So we had actually 8,000 questions come in for you.
So we'll be here till 10 p.m. Yeah, good for that.
So let's have a little look. We've got Ryan from the Philippines who says, is there any F3 driver or lower level drivers standing out as future Red Bull Academy drivers at the moment? Anyone you got your eye on?
Look, it's a question for Helmut, really. And every year, you know, he's selecting through the driver development program, you know, younger and younger kids, girls, boys. So it's super exciting. I think it's also fair to recognize in this place, you know, the huge role that Red Bull has had in bringing up talents, in giving chances to many kids. It cannot work for all of them. But, you know, across so many countries, so many continents, it's part of Red Bull DNA. Red Bull entered the sport through supporting young drivers well before it had one team or 2 teams, and we continue to do so.
Yeah, I think that's something that maybe gets underappreciated because, you know, there's 22 now seats in F1. But there's so much motorsport beyond that, and just to have a career in this space, be that in any capacity, but particularly a driver, is very hard to actually earn a wage. I mean, so many drivers in motorsport, they have to pay to be there. It's not really a job. It has to be a hobby for a lot of people. So I think that's where Red Bull's, you know, willingness to throw support behind a lot of drivers and give people. And again, look, drivers are human beings at the end of the day, and you're asking a lot of them, especially how young so many drivers are coming in now. But of course, the youngest of all over recent years was Max when he joined the grid. Had you had many dealings with Max personally prior to taking this role as CEO and team principal of ORBR Racing?
I mean, everybody was watching Max doing what he does in the car. I've had the pain to watch it as a competitor for enough years.
You know the pain.
Enough years.
You're like, he's so fast. He's good, but that's really annoying for us.
It was really, really annoying. However, the simple, plain truth is that then you get the luck to work with him. And the guy is even more extraordinary out of the car than he is in the car. It looks stupid to say, but that's what it is. You discover the level of his technical sensitivity. We call him the best sensor in the car. It's don't tell him, but it really is the best sensor in the car.
Yeah.
And the level of commitment, the level of energy he puts into it, how he is immersed into the world of motorsport, also beyond Formula One. He's racing elsewhere. If he's not racing elsewhere on his free weekends, he's doing sim racing days or night or both. I'm not sure. Yeah. So that's what it is. You call him on Monday after a race and say, "So how are you? You are resting somewhere? You came back okay?" Say, "Yeah, well, no, I'm racing right now, but So he's sim racing the next day after the race. Like, it's unbelievable."
But like, how do you feel about that? Like, when you suddenly like, oh, he's at the Nürburgring, brilliant. Do you then suddenly sort of go, I hope he behaves himself because I need him fit and well for the following week, please?
As a fan, it makes you feel good.
Yeah.
I don't know how you guys felt about it, but as a fan, as a pure motor racing fan, as a pure car fan, to see the guy jumping from a Formula One race, or actually jumping from back to back Formula One races, and on his free weekend, go get his driving license for the races he will do in GT3 is just unreal.
And I think as well, you can tell that Max is doing it because he absolutely loves it. And I think in the same way that other drivers might not be so, off once they've wrapped up, it's like not everyone lives for their work and they still get the best out of themselves. And I think it's allowing Max to do those things and indulge in this passion is great for the broader motorsport world as well. It brought so many eyeballs on these Nürburgring GT events, and that can only, again, motorsport's a massive industry. Not just everyone focuses on the drivers, but there's all of these STEM positions in all of these different teams, and I think that's the kind of work, and also introducing the idea, particularly the sim racing stuff, which is the thing I love most, because motorsport has a huge problem with access. Of course it does. The money that needs to be spent, it's in the hundreds of thousands for top tier junior karting. It's not feasible for the vast majority of people, but being able to create this, and I think Max is, whether by design or not, inadvertently creating this genuine workflow where kids who don't come from super wealth can get into sim racing, show their talent, and then hopefully teams like Red Bull can see that potential, pluck these drivers and turn them into these, because there must be so many drivers who could have been world champions, who could have been Senna's, Schumachers, Verstappens, and through a lack of funds had to stop at 12, 13 years old and it never got to realise that ability.
You are completely right. That's the perhaps the scale of his contribution to the sport beyond Formula One, and he deserves a huge amount of respect for that, and that's probably also broadening his legacy. And you're right in saying that we have an access problem with the sport, and sim racing is bridging that in an unbelievable way. There is not many simulation games that you can do that effectively reproduce pretty much exactly the position of the real sport and the action and the physics of the real sport.
100%.
So it's a huge opportunity for us as a sport, and having ambassador, if you allow me to say, like Max, being so involved in it is a huge luck for the next generations.
And naturally, we have to bring up our Japanese permanently hungry king, Yuki Tsunoda. Now, we had him on this podcast a few weeks ago, and he described you as a friend. So how would you describe your relationship with Yuki?
Same. Really is an incredible individual. He's the most genuine, friendly, generous person. So yes, of course, he's a friend. He's the sort of guy that would, 2 or 3 weeks ago, he would drive 300 kilometers just to have dinner with you.
Yeah.
Even though we see each other every.
Well, there was food involved. That's
there was
probably
food,
why.
I thought it was for us, but it may have been for the food. You're right, actually. Look, he has a very unique trajectory in motorsport. He has that raw speed. He had that, I call it late progress, on the 4th years where normally drivers start to level a little bit. He had this huge season in 2024 with Racing Bulls, and then another amazing start in 25, and then of course he was now put into the exposure of a top team with the Red Bull Racings. But he's been keeping his head down. It's very difficult to be Max's teammate, as we all know. But he keeps his head down. He keeps the right spirit, the right open-minded attitude, and he's a symbol for the team inside the car and outside of the car.
Also, obviously, Max and Yuki, great behind the wheel, but also very talented in other ways. If you could swap them two into alternative positions within the team, what do you think would get the best out of their skill set beyond just behind the wheel?
Joke aside, I think the complexity of the sport is such now, even for the drivers, or more so for the drivers, that if these guys were not driving, you will still want them into your engineering team, because they will still give you that extra sensitivity. They will still see things, both in the data and in the onboard video, that you will not see because they look at it from a different perspective. So you will still use them to do that, to feed your engineering teams, to try to analyze the behavior of the car, try to see what the car is limited with and what would you need to make it go faster.
Was Max helping out with that in FP1 at Mexico when Arvid was in his car? Because we saw Max on the pit wall.
Of course, he was analyzing the data. He was trying to use every single piece. He was not driving the car, of course. He was trying to use every single piece to understand what was the condition on tracks, what were the current car limitations, what he was going to find when he was going to jump in the car. He knew what setup was on Arvid, what setup was on Yuki. He was seeing corner by corner, live in this data, how the car was reacting to their inputs, and it was as close as it could get for him to be driving in the car, and that also gives you the level of intensity that you put into it. He could have said, well, you know what, it's a rookie driving the car. Why bothering? It's a dirty track, 9 rookies on track, but no. But that tells you really the level of the competition.
And Arvid did a great job, by the way.
He did honestly incredible. Really, it's I think normally when you have a young drivers jumping in FP1, you have 1 or 2 guys coming to him and saying, please don't take too much risk. I think we were probably close to 15 people going to him before everyone saying, look, please, actually without the please, just don't take risk.
Have fun, but not too much fun.
We had, I'm not sure we had the have fun part, but we had the a new package for that race that was only on that car. So we say, look, we really need it. So, so he did what he did without touching a curb, without putting a wheel on the grass, so it was very impressive.
That's a big sign of faith as well.
It is.
You have in Arvid Lindblad as well. He looks very strong.
No, he has, honestly, he's been doing an amazing job there. He's 18 now. It's easy to forget. Try to remember how we were at 18 years old.
I know, I was all over the place.
So
just down the pub most of the time. Still am.
So no, he has been very, very impressive.
This is a question from Lizelle in France, who says, what's the biggest difference between Red Bull and Racing Bulls? It's a good question.
Yeah.
it's two different machines really. You know, we had 700 people in Racing Bulls. I think with the powertrain and everything, we are close to 2,000 people here on the campus for Oracle Red Bull Racing. So already, you know, the size, you nearly triple the size. You have that history in Oracle Red Bull Racing of being the team that will chase that ultimate performance in order to fight for the title, and that has shaped everything you do in the team in terms of risk taking, in terms of how close you run to the limit, in terms of how much risk you need to put in every single aspect of the team if you want to be competitive to that very end level. So the common point, I guess, is you find very, very talented people. And the main difference is I guess one team has a clear focus and has developed in order to make sure the young drivers find the best environment to grow up and to evolve, and that's Racing Bulls. And everything in the team is done to make sure they are comfortable, make sure they are coached, make sure they are trained, make sure they can develop, make sure they find the environment. We are saying before that the champions, they do these steps. So make sure you somehow create the environment that will allow those steps to be done as fast as possible. Why Red Bull Racing is there to chase that ultimate bit of performance, to refuse any type of compromise in any aspects of the car, of the team, in order to make sure that you have that last 100 or 1,000 that will make the world of a difference.
Yeah, it was a huge investment to take on not just one but two F1 teams, and yeah, the legacy lives on. I think that, you know, project has been used so many drivers, Albon, Sainz, Vettel, like the list just goes on and on and on, and it's a true legacy for the team. It'll be interesting to see in another 10 years who will be the new names coming through. Will be exciting. We've got a question from Jason from France. If you could change
two French questions,
I know, right? It's almost on brand. Of course.
Don't tempt me.
If you could change one thing about modern Formula One to make it even better, what would it be?
Oh,
controversial.
Oh, yes. Come on then.
I'm ready.
Free up the regulations, please. My friends at the FIA are going to hate me, but please free up a bit the regulations.
Interesting.
Bit detailed. Tell us in what way.
So I don't want to make it too naive in my approach, but we now have extremely complex regulations. So everything in the car is very, very constrained. So the actual amount of freedom you have to invent and design this car is somewhat limited. So the reason why it is like that is essentially two. One is to avoid having a huge escalation of cost. So if you were able to have a Formula One car with 6 wheels, always, with 4-wheel drives, or with whatever, or with active aero, maybe it will end up being, an incredible cost race. So that's the main reason why it's like that. And the other reason why it's like that is because you sort of try to have a tight field between the best guys and the rest of the field. And in order to achieve that, the regulations have ended up being extremely, extremely complex details and somehow limiting the freedom of the team. So it would be great if
I
we could
understand.
have a little bit more freedom, please. We have a cost cap now.
Yeah, I was
Thank
going to say,
you.
do you think the cost cap almost fulfills that role? The cost cap stops teams spending crazy money, so that you could be a bit more lenient with the regs.
Honestly, I think so. Yes, it does. So again, I have a special heart for the FIA because obviously I work there and I understand the complexity of the task. And I think at the beginning of the cost cap era, so 4 or 5 years ago, we were very conscious that we could not completely lean on the cost cap to limit the cost or to limit the field spread, because we didn't know at the time if the cost cap was going to be effective, if it was going to be really possible to control all the spendings. Now I think 4 or 5 years into the making, we know it's working pretty well, and hence I have confident that we could free up a little bit
Okay.
the regulation that have perhaps a bit more different
like that
cars.
idea.
Well, we've got it on camera. We'll hand it over to the FIA. It's fine.
If you don't see me turning up in Melbourne, it's because I lost my license.
They won't let you in.
This is from Garrett in the USA, who says, what's your favourite racing series aside from Formula One?
I think rally is absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
Every single time where you see an image from a rally event, you just stop. You have to stop. You know,
Yeah.
if it's on the TV somewhere on the wall and you are walking and then there is this rally car, you just stop and you watch, because it's just plain madness
Yeah.
what these guys do. And yeah, so in short, I think rally is just something else.
There's nothing quite like a rally car jumping and as it's hitting the limiter. Just go, it's amazing. I love it. Obviously, Carlo Rovanpera, we had him on the podcast
Yes, we did,
earlier this
yeah.
year, is now starting to take the leap into single seaters, which is going to be very exciting. And we keep it close. He didn't divulge that to us when we spoke to him.
No, he didn't.
He kept that to himself. He kept that on quiet. And now we'll see. Maybe he'll find a way into F1.
And annoyingly, that probably was sort of in the pipeline, and he was sorting it out while we were chatting to him.
Yeah, I
and we
mean,
were trying to dig, and he was giving us
we
nothing.
were trying, but I mean, a lot of that talent must carry over, right? Because again, the trust you put in your co-driver, but also you're on the absolute edge. You don't know what the grip is underneath you. Like rally is, I love it. I love it. I'm in absolute agreement with you there, Lauren. Quinton from South Africa asks, how do you approach setting priorities for car development given the limited resources under the cost cap? So like aero and engine, is everyone fighting for resource, I guess, to justify how much is put into it?
If Pierre or Ben were there, they would probably say, well, the first thing you do is actually to fight for every single euro.
Really?
That's the first thing you do.
Right.
Wow.
And I'm not joking either. Like,
Yeah.
you know, what you do is that anything that is in cost cap parameters, you are going to fight for every single euro. So from the most stupid saving
Yeah.
to the more difficult trade-off that you might need to do between, you know, R&D long terms and
Sure.
and short-term results. So the real answer is that you set up the team so that anything that is in cap, you push harder than anyone else. And you know, with that in mind, the rest of the compromise is between somehow mid-term, long-term, and short-term gains. But that's most of the time an easier compromise.
We've got a question here from Mexico from someone called Chill Waves. I don't know if that's their actual name, but I love it. Chill Waves, Mexico says, looking back at your career, what's a key piece of advice that you would give to someone aspiring to reach a leadership position within Formula One?
Forget the leadership for now. Meaning in any positions, two things perhaps. One is it's about the soft skills, because everything else you can learn.
Yeah.
So if you are motivated, you will learn, you will become the best expert, you will study. Hence the difference will come with the soft skills. You know, if something falls between you and your teammate, please pick it up. And it makes a huge difference in a team. It just makes a huge difference. And the second one is there is always more you can do. You know, there is always something more you can do. There is always something more you can bring to the business. And you stop when you feel you have to stop.
Yeah.
But the truth is, as you know, we are all competitors to the extreme. And you know, we never feel good. You know, even when there is a win, you celebrate half an hour, and then half an hour after you think to the next race. You think to what you could have done better that race. You think to, and you know, that desire that fuels us, that drives us, is the one that allows us to add. And even in that, we always feel we could do more, we could do better.
Yeah.
And so the advice is do something that you are passionate with.
Yes.
Because there is always more you can bring into it.
Got a question from Celio from the Dominican Republic. How did your time at the FIA influence your approach to team management and safety culture in F1?
Actually, it did massively influence for many different reasons. At first, talking about leadership, Jean Todt was leading the FIA. You know, incredible racing history. So to have him as a president during those years, was just a huge source of learning, of challenges, of being pushed to reach other levels, to add more to the business. A second aspect, when you work in Formula One, you think you know motorsport. Well, you don't. You just turn up at the races. You see the same 50 or 100 people every race.
Yeah.
Take your plane back and you think you know motorsport. You know nothing. Because just at the Formula One race already, you don't realize that there is 800, 900 people working most of the time for free. I'm talking about the marshals and the officials on the track.
Yeah.
Just to make the Grand Prix happening. As the FIA, you turn up there, you interface with this local team. So at every race, you have this exposure to these hundreds of different people, and then you move to the next race, and you meet again hundreds of different people, and so forth and so on. So that was amazing. And also, there is not only Formula One in motorsport, as we discussed, and it's fantastically refreshing and teach, and it's a great school for the work and sometimes for life, to see the other disciplines, to see rally red, to see the karting, to see the volunteers, and to see all the richness and variety of motorsport from the very grassroots to the very top.
This is from Gert in South Africa, who says, what will you want to be remembered for at Red Bull when you part ways in the distant future? Now, bearing in mind, you've only been here a couple of months, but what's the legacy that you want to leave behind? He's not wishing you to leave. That's not happening. We just want to know, when you leave in many, many, many years' time, what's the legacy you leave behind?
Look, we are only interested into the wins. That's the things we look at. So first and foremost, that's what ultimately says, differentiates success from failure. So you want to make sure the team wins as much as it deserves to.
Is that important to you, legacy, and like how you're remembered?
I would not say how you remember, but however, a challenge we very often use internally with the team here is, as Red Bull, not Oracle Racing, as an employee of the Red Bull Group, we are given a huge amount of freedom. That's the Red Bull way. And coming to your legacy questions, the challenge we set for ourselves is, if somebody turns up in 3 years, in 2 years, in 6 months, and come here, what will they think about what they are going to find? And we would like them to find the sharpest team possible, the leanest team possible, the most effective, the best atmosphere, the most, as we said, risk-taking. So we quite often in the day with our meeting with the management groups, with the wider technical leaders groups, we challenge ourselves at, if somebody was coming after us, what would he think about how we operate, what he finds, and if we don't like it, we can just change it. That's the freedom we have. If we don't think what we have is at the right level, we are free to change it. So hence we have no excuse not to do it. So that's a little bit our permanent challenge.
I like that. This is from Jim in the USA, who says, what race are you most looking forward to in the remaining calendar, and why? Now, obviously, I have said before, we are recording this just before Brazil, which will be in about a week and a half's time. Yep. So we've got 4 races left with a couple of sprints thrown in there as well. Is there any particular one that you're looking forward to, or do you just feel a bit like, oh my God, this is going to be a crazy rest of the season?
No, it's super exciting.
Yeah.
To go in, when you have... when you know that you have the possibility to fight for the win, it doesn't get more exciting than that. So, as you said, we are also in. We take it race by race, but you go into a race weekend, you don't know if it's anybody between 3 or 4 teams that can win the race, and therefore we take it race by race. We want to extract that maximum performance of the car. Which one I look the most forward to? let's just hope that Abu Dhabi is a great final that we
Okay.
all dream of.
Okay.
Absolutely. I think, honestly, Lauren, I think the team needs to take a huge sense of pride from I cannot get over the turnaround from Hungary, because things like, again, from the outside looking in as a fan, no one gave Max a chance after Hungary. It just wasn't going to happen. And then, Max is always going to deliver at the ceiling of the card that's given to him. Like, he's proved that consistently year on year on year. Even in Mexico, he did 28 laps within just over half a second. Like, mad consistency. I think that's his biggest strength. And then to be able to get back in this fight has been just huge. And just, I think, on behalf of everyone, please just give us three drivers who can win in Abu Dhabi. Would be box office. And if Max can snatch this, I'll tell you what, I mean, surely if Max can do it, you got to put on a hell of a party, Lauren.
Yeah. And can we be invited, please?
Please.
So the answer will be the same. We take it not only race by race.
That is
not
the
only,
classic media trained answer.
Not only race by race. We take it session by session. We go to Brazil. I know you will stream after Brazil, but we go to Brazil and it's a sprint weekend.
It is, yeah. 2 sprints left.
You have to nail FP1. That's where the focus goes, guys. You preparing now. The guys are preparing now how to put the car on the ground in order to nail FP1. You nail FP1, you get into the right conditions for the sprint quali. You have no time to react, no time to change. You need the sprint quali right. You need the sprint race right. Then you have another window of opportunity to change the car, because that's how we look at it. Forget the numbers and the party in Abu Dhabi.
I just, this year has been, and I think it'll be a really fitting end to what has been it's very interesting. Like, qualifying's been closer than I think it's ever been in Formula One history. Some of the field spreads are crazy. I think 2022, we had a wider performance spread, but less dirty air. All in all, do you think ground effect has been a successful period in Formula One? It's certainly been a successful period here, Oracle Red Bull Racing, but just take that out of as the sport, when you look back at the legacy of the sport, do you think this regulation period has served the sport well?
I really think so. As much as we all like to criticize, and you know what, I raised my hand. I was the first one to be critical of those regulations when they came in, because already at the time we felt we were not given enough freedom with that set of regulations, and we were proven wrong. We were proven wrong because fundamentally in 22 we turned up on the first test, on the first race, and the cars were looking different. So credit to the FIA. The cars were looking different. Yes, Oracle Red Bull Racing have been dominating that era. That's what it has been. But look, we are on that final years. We've had McLaren winning the constructor last year, winning it again this year. You go to race weekends, you don't know which one of 4 teams is going to win the race. I sometimes look at it and say, oh, it's a shame there is only 4 races, because it doesn't get much better than that. Now, you could say, okay, so then why do you change? Which is probably a question that we will be, debating on next time. But equally, it's incredibly exciting to say that you take all that groups of giants and you throw them into the unknown for next year and see what's coming out of it. So it's a bit twofold. We have, I think, one of the best show ever right now.
Yep.
And you take that show, you throw it into unknown, and you see what's coming out next year.
I was wondering how you kind of communicate between teams, because obviously you've made your way around the paddock and formerly working with Ferrari. Do you kind of still chat to the team and be like, how are you guys getting on with 2026? Is everything going
investigative
right?
journalism.
Just wondering what you're doing.
Look,
I would totally do that. Take them out for a couple of drinks, and then they'll speak a bit more.
Of course. Don't reveal all our secrets. But now, I tell you what, the personal relationships in the paddock are one of the most valuable aspects of these sports. And sometimes when people are leaving the sports, they normally miss two things. They miss the competition because it's difficult to find another job with that level of extreme competition.
Sure.
And they miss the quality of the relationships because it's like we are you are all driven by the same passion. We are all driven by the same pursuit or same quest for perfections, and you create very special relationship with yours even when you change teams. That allows you to get some secrets out of the competition. No, I'm joking. We don't get the secrets.
Nicola would be great. If you need someone,
leave it to me.
Yeah, we may use you for that.
Lauren, you've been so generous with your time. Honestly, thank you so much. I've been genuinely so excited to get you on and just have a proper. And I feel like we've got into the weeds.
Yeah, I've enjoyed this.
We've had a really good deep chat.
Thank you, guys. That was very fun.
What I've enjoyed as well is that I feel like you've been welcomed into this team with open arms, and we'll have a lot of Red Bull Racing fans that will be watching or listening right now. So is there anything that you would like to say to the Red Bull Racing fans?
Yes, actually, maybe one thing, ultimately you always see the same people on TV at the racetrack. But the truth is, the performance of the car is done with every single person in these teams adding 0.5 of a second in the care, in the attention to details they do for their job, even if it's not directly the magic aerodynamic updates that we all want to dream of. And the fans also carry a small part of that lap time in the way they make us feel, in the way they support us, in the way they stay with us in the difficult moment, and we have these touch points with them on the racetrack when we see them now on the social medias in the very many different ways we can interact, and they carry if any of our employee here carries that small thousands, they also carry a small portion of these thousands with us, and if we add it up, we can take the car to the right place.
Oh, that was beautiful.
Love it. Laurent, thank you so much for your time again.
That was so
Thank you,
lovely.
guys.